Tumelo, are you good to go? There we go. Start readying yourself, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I wonder, with your indulgence, and at this point, wheels up with the conference, we're all friends here, if I could just talk about my 88-year-old mother for a moment. God bless her. She's in good shape. She had a quintuple bypass a couple of years ago, but she came out as strong as a horse. Every weekend when I see her, I could have done a killer interview with a politician. I could have nailed them against the wall, and they're bleeding from every orifice. And she will say to me, darling, I didn't like the color of the tie you were wearing on TV last night. And it always upsets me because I think, and Tumelo, this is a long introduction into you. I think that there's a direct correlation between being a news anchor, whether it be on radio and television, and leadership, because so much in our business goes wrong. You have to learn how to deal with a crisis, because all too often the teleprompt goes down or a camera goes down, and you have somebody in your ear telling you that there's a problem and you have to recover. And the way in which you recover is true leadership. You have to deal with the unexpected. All too often a story just breaks. I work on a rival radio station to the radio station that's a media partner here today, so I'm not going to, in the interests of propriety, I'm not going to mention who they are. Power 98.7. And yesterday there was a late breaking story, and I was unaware of the history of the story, but my producer simply slipped the piece of paper in front of my nose. I was interviewing someone else. I had to pick it up, read it, and then do a cogent interview with someone afterwards. I think that leadership is all about reacting to the moment. And I think that that is one of the most difficult things to do. So next time you see people like Tumelo Mothotoane, who's in front of your television screen reading the news, she is also a leader. I hope that's a good introduction. Okay.
Testing. Okay, here we go. Empress Palace, are you there? Come on. The theme I was given is, this is the year of the millennials. Empress Palace, are you there? Yes. Empress Palace, are you there? Yes. Let's try again. Empress Palace, are you there? Yes. SABC TV license payers, are you there? Are you there, Deben? Are you there? Alrighty then. Hi guys, my name is Tumelo Mothotoane, and thank you so much to my fellow colleague within broadcasting, Jeremy Max. I have to say, it's such an honor. He actually, when I met him, it's my first time meeting him. So when I met him this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, it's such an honor. He's like, you look familiar. I'm like, but you know, I've seen you. You haven't seen me. See, I know you. You don't know me. He's like, don't be ridiculous. I'm like, yeah, whoever knows who wants to be a millionaire, that's the first time I saw Jeremy Maggs. So it was such an honor, of course, to be here and to know that he's hosting. But you know what? I have to say, when I first got the call from Cape Media to come and address all of you who are, you know, leaders in your own right, I have to tell you, even though I'm a news anchor, I panicked, and I do research for a living. Before I get into studio, we have to do research on the story. Before I have an interview, I need to know the profile of my guest, and I need to know the topic very well so that, you know, I can ad-lib and add my bit of spice. But when they said TLC 2015, I panicked. The first thing I did, I went to Google and I said, how to say a smart thing in front of smart people. What do I say? I called on my friends, I called my mom, I called some of my business partners, I said, what do I say? They're like, okay, here's something on corruption, here's something on poverty, here's something. I'm like, but that's too much. What do I say to smart people? And it came to me that there's no better story to tell than your own story. Isn't that a unique story? It's so authentic, and no one can compete with that story. So I thought to myself, you know what? They're not going to be hard on me. I'm going to tell my story, because at 23 years of age, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering how I got to be where I am today. And I get that question a whole lot. On Facebook, on social media, people always tweet me, Tumelo, how did you get there? People ask me to mentor them, Jeremy. And I think, oh my gosh, I don't know much. I'm still trying to find myself. But I get that a lot. Where did you begin? So in a short space of time, because Jeremy was so strict with my 15 minutes, he made me repeat it 3 times. How long are you going to speak for? 15 minutes. How long? Say it again, 15 minutes. So I will not disappoint you. So in essence, I was born on the 30th of May in 1991 in a township called Leboagomo in Polokwane in the Limpopo province. Hello, le kae bana ba gaetsho? Bonang, ke tlo thaba ka mphaka madi a tala ska tala. Le ona. Okay. Le ona bana ba gaetsho. Ke a leboha, ke tlo thakana le lena, ke tlo thakana le lena esgale. So yes, I was born in 1991 on 30th of May. I was raised by my mom, but also my grandparents. See, my grandparents instilled a whole lot of characteristics and ethics that I have today. My grandfather was actually a social worker. So growing up, there were a lot of people coming into the house, domestic violence, or just people fighting, asking for my grandfather for advice. And generations will be chucked out because when I'll the family meeting and I'll be like, what's going on? You know, but that was the true leader that I saw growing up. That's the first leader, or at least the first characteristic of a leader that I saw growing up, my grandfather, because he was a social worker. So growing up, I knew that I'm going to be a social worker. I'm called to do this. Until one of my aunt's friends said to me, social worker, upgrade Nana, can't just be a social worker now. You must upgrade your intelligence, you're smart. So I'm like, what will I do then? How does a psychologist start? I don't want to anything ending with an ist. Psychologist, sociologist, anthropologist, upgraded, you know? So I thought, okay, there you go. I'm going to be a psychologist. Fast forward to 2007, my mom gets a post in Midrand. So she was going to be the PA to the CEO of ISIS CETA, now MICT CETA, Mr. Opamopaki. So we had to move to Midrand, right? And I remember arguing with Mama, there is no way I'm leaving because I mean, my whole life is here. My friends are here. I'm a teenager. I'm in grade 11. Can I stay? You can leave with my brothers. I have one little brother who's in matric now and one who is in grade 6. Mama said, no. If anything, the girl needs to move with the mother. I need to make sure that I nurture you as my only daughter, at least her only surviving daughter, because I had a sister who passed away back in 2002. So when I got here, you know, Muslim people, we chilled. Like, I don't know why people tease my home province, because we chilled, we smize. We're not in a rush like all of y'all Joe Burgers. Everybody here is in a rush for something. Everybody's competitive, everybody's out to do something, to achieve something. And I got to this place, and even my schoolmates were highly competitive. I mean, I remember it was just 2 years, or 3 years at least, before the 2010 World Cup, and there was a competition in school whereby we had to come up with you know, the mascot, we had to design him and have a logo, and you know, the kid with the bears would win this or that. And I thought, but we never get these opportunities, Limpopo. But anyway, fast forward to 2010, that's when I got my first big break at Soweto TV, and I hosted a young women's empowerment program called Sisters. And this is where I'd like to begin, you know, the whole Ian Lavenza advice that do not underestimate your beginnings. I get so many young ladies who want to be in the media industry, but they're not willing to do the hard work. See, when I started Soweto TV, there were no fancy jib cameras. You know the camera that looks like a snake that just moves around you? There was nothing like that. One camera, make it work. All these angles that you see in front of me, on the side, no. We just said, okay, to me, cut, hold it right there. Are we bambel up? That's the other shot. Welcome to Sisters. Okay, bambela sisi, this side. That's the other angle. There was nothing fancy, all right? There was no autocue. See, when we read, I remember I had an event. I hosted the Ubuntu Awards in Cape Town, and I had to read a whole lot of the sponsor's profile. And after that, the sponsor came and said, wow, you know so much about us. Nah, I'm just a good sales presenter. I sell you well. But I'm actually reading. So there was no auto-cue, Soweto TV. Fast forward to my first big break, Sunday Live, there was auto-cue. But as Jeremy said, some of the hiccups that happen is that, you know, it might just fall apart and you have to make do. So I remember when the first time the auto-cue at the SABC fell apart, I mean, they were so generous. The camera guys were like, oh, I'm so sorry, sorry, we're gonna fix it. Do you want water? I'm like, there was no water, Soweto TV. But thanks, you know. Are you okay? You know what, there's something wrong with the camera, we're gonna fix. I'm like, don't worry. See, where I come from, we had to make the most out of nothing. And if I hadn't known what I learned for 3 years at Soweto TV, I would not be the broadcaster that I am today. I would not be the speaker that I am today. I would not think as fast as I do under pressure. When there's a breaking story, I would not be able to ad-lib so well, as if everything is on screen, if I hadn't come from my humble beginnings. So the first lesson that I'd like to share with you is do not underestimate your humble beginnings. Now, you might be wondering, Sunday Live, how did you get to Sunday Live? If you remember Sunday Live was previously anchored by broadcasting legends. Olane Gwala, admire him. Mr. Vuyo Mvoko, admire him. Asanda Magaka, admire her. Sisanda Jonas, admire them. Then it moved to Sunday Live. I remember when I first made it to the SABC for my first interview with some of the executives there, like skin, the Vaseline, glycerin, shiner, cheskop, fresh from Soweto TV. And I remember the then executive producer said, okay, Tumelo, we're going to meet the executives, okay? And we're going to introduce you as this new anchor who is just going to blow the country away, you know? I know age-wise, Ishman, you're 21, and don't worry, we're going to talk to them, okay? And you want to just follow my lead. So I'm like, okay, we're going to convince executives that I'm fit for the job. We're going upstairs. We get there, we meet the acting head of the channel, we meet the marketing executives, we meet people who are responsible for programming at SABC1. And I remember one of the gentlemen was just sitting there and saying, I'm a neo. With all due respect, Sisine, but how do you think this is going to interview Zwelizwe Mavav? This, 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 promise. I mean, really. How do you think is going to even allow to get into the studio being interviewed by a girl Kacheskop? How old are you? Says, man, no. Can we get somebody else to do Sunday Live? And Noah was aggressive. No, but no, you don't understand. That's the thing. SABC1 is supposed to be, a place for young people. Young South Africans are supposed to nourish. And if we need a 19-year-old to come anchor a current affairs program, why not? Let's challenge the status quo. And I remember he was fighting for me. No, Tumelo, give her a chance. Give her a chance. Until I said, no, you know what, that movie face, like, I got this. Like, got this. Superman is here. I said, it's fine. And I said, sir, I think it's time. And I think the country is ready for a young and bold anchor. That time, I was probably thinking bold, B-A-B-O. Which bold? But I had to say that I think the country is ready for a young 21-year-old news anchor, 21-year-old current affairs anchor. And that's my point to you, ladies and gentlemen, that sometimes as a leader, you need to step in and be that guy. I got this. Even though you don't know what you're going to say because you didn't prepare yourself. See, what we don't get is that new levels bring new devils. When I was leaving Soweto TV, I thought I'm going to the SAB, so I'm going to be fine. Money is there. Yeah? I'll be known. No. New levels bring new devils, and you have to always be prepared. Even if you're not prepared, step in and step up. So very briefly, I just want to share some of the top 5 struggles that I feel we as young people are struggling with in 2015, and I'm hoping to encourage you to overlook that. The first thing is that you need to fulfill your passion and stop appearing to fulfill what other people expect from you. Your calling, you need to answer your calling. I know Instagram is the worst thing that ever happened to us, guys. I know, and we need to prove a point that we're making it. We're making it. But leave that all aside. Fulfill your potential and stop fulfilling what you think people expect from you. Criticism, distractions, you're still going to be turned down. You'll still be told this. You'll still be told that nobody wants to do interviews with you. And by the way, I've interviewed Zwelizwe Mavav, and I remember the day he came to studio, we were wearing the same color. I was wearing peach, napere peach, and we looked like an old couple. I'm like, damn it, why am I not recording this and taking it to upstairs? So that you can see that you're actually excited to meet me. Another thing about leaders, ladies and gentlemen, is that a leader cannot teach you what they've never been through. I have mighty respect for people that have been through the trenches and are able to stand before me and teach me something that they've been through. So do not curse your trenches. Do not curse your challenges, because that's the meat and the substance that we're actually going to get one day when you're on stage. T.D. Jakes once made an example of when his mother used to bake a cake or cakes, how the mom used to put all the ingredients in front of her. You have your milk, you have your eggs, you have your sugar, you have your baking powder, everything. And he used to say, I remember how when I tasted each ingredient by itself, it used to taste so bad. Have you ever tasted baking powder? Who has tasted baking powder when their parents are baking? I know, child, like, I know. Have you ever tasted flour? Who's tasted flour? On its own? Blah. Condensed milk? Bona, you go to Granny's house, there's condensed milk, right? You know, that's life. Nice. Sugar. Milk. Bona, we are there. But he said, I could not fathom how all these bitter ingredients and all these sweet ingredients would make a cake. How is it that when they're on their own, they taste so bitter? And I think that's exactly the mistake that we're making sometimes as leaders. We taste our experiences individually. And because you taste not being able to afford school fees individually, and you taste not passing that interview individually, and you taste not being accepted by society individually, you forget that when you mix all those ingredients, that's the testimony that will make you stand on the stage one day. So my advice to you is, if I had tasted that I'm bold and Zwelinzima Vavi would not allow himself to be interviewed on Sunday Live while I'm the anchor, if I had tasted that I'm on Soweto TV, I'll not amount to anything, or that I'm from Limpopo and I will not amount to anything because we're too slow for Joburg, I would not be here today. But I had to let that all mix up so that I can tell you my story. The last one is, purpose is your passion. Your purpose, your calling is what you're passionate about. And I know when people say, passion, yeah, I know what I'm passionate about. Do you really? Do you know what you're passionate about? See, passion is not just the things that you love, but it's the things that you passionately hate as well. Whatever that you hate, whatever you know, just your gut literally turns, that's your passion. You've been called to do something about it. Now, I'm not saying I'm being called to do something about this example, but I remember I went to a food chain store one day, and anybody who follows me on social media knows that I despise bad customer service. I loathe it. And I can't understand why I have to go through it as a customer, because I have this thing, I'm paying, so I'm a paying customer, no favors here. Taking out my 25 rand that I worked hard for. But I loathe customer service, and I suppose that's one of the things that I have to think about probably changing. But whatever that you passionately love and passionately hate, that's your calling. Now, in conclusion, I want to encourage you, young leaders, to step up and be counted. See, when I was doing public speaking back in high school, and I remember Dr. Quincy used to make us watch all these YouTube videos of public speakers from around the world, one thing that stood out for me is how confident young American children are. Who remembers Kids Say the Darndest Things? Bill Cosby, used to host that program. Do you remember some of the smart, confident things the kids would say? How old are you? 20, I'm 2. Who's your mom? Michelle. Where is she? In the audience. You know, what do you want to be when you grow up? A president. Why? I want to change society. Like, they were just so confident. And every time I'd go to YouTube and I'd always Google public speakers, I was like, why? I want to be this confident. Bring it back to South Africa. SABC News reporting live from a court hearing here. We have some of the protesters here. So what you bafethu. I'm like, my brothers, but you were there on some siyahamba ma. Now, oh, okay. Anybody wants to say, mina sis, yazi, but yazi into wrong lana, yabona. I'm like, yeah, ne? Yeah, but you were there in the front with your banners. Huh? So I suppose that's one thing that I aspire to change amongst young leaders is that stand up, stand out, be counted. Speak up with your shoulders high, be confident. I mean, as leaders, you're going to approach a whole lot of investors. You know, you're going to approach a whole lot of people to invest in your talent, your intelligence. Stand up, be counted. I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.
Tumelo, I think you should be doing stand-up. I'd like you all to look at your watches, ladies and gentlemen. Could someone give me the time? At this time, ladies and gentlemen, that is the future of broadcasting. Congratulations. Just one thing, Tumelo, that I would like to say to you. Damn those shoes, girl. If you ever go and visit DHL in those shoes, you'll get parking close to the lift.